just the best part of my day.
Nope, scratch that. Reverse it.
My grandma and your grandma sitting by the fire. My grandma told your grandma, I'm gonna set your flag on fire. Talking about hey now,
Hey now,
hey now,
hey now.
I go one day.
Oh,
Jacques Finade, Jacques Finade. Look at my king all dressed in red. I go one day. I bet you $5 he'll kill you dead. Jacques Finade. Talking about hey now,
hey now,
hey now,
hey now.
I go one day.
Oh,
Jacques Finade.
Hacked it. Hacked the thing.
Hacked it. Hacked the planet, even.
Planet
Hacking the
Janet.
galaxy?
Oh, hey, shout out.
Shout out. Great.
I would
So,
love to make that project today. That would be so funny to
You
make.
couldn't make hacking the galaxy today. You know, it's
You
like
could.
the woke mentality just like couldn't handle it.
You absolutely could. And it was definitely ahead of its time. It had a character called Special Snowflake. It kind of like really got on the vape trend early. There are a few lines that I would change because I didn't know I was gay yet.
Yeah.
Other than that, I've watched it a few times because I worked on the storyboards for it for a while. And I like it. It holds. I would do more, but it's not, I wouldn't do it exactly as it is.
Mm-hmm.
It is more of a time capsule.
You know, listen, when you're brushing off these old scripts, you know, you gotta update it. You gotta update it for the times. I mean, you're really like Francis Ford Coppola in that way. You know, dusting off
just like him.
Megalopolis.
I'm just
script
like
you've
him.
had forever. This is your Hacking the Galaxy is your Megalopolis, and what
so
you
many
need to
ways.
do is sell your personal vineyard for hundreds of millions of dollars so you can finally make Hacking the Galaxy.
Yeah, and Vineyard is right on brand for me as a sober person. I've been talking
Yeah.
about for years kind of building a vineyard empire. So all of this really lines up for me. I am rewriting,
Absolutely.
in Trump's America, I've been rewriting Gay Basher. That's been what I've been doing.
Love
because, yeah, as said in the last pod, the first election, 2016, I was with you, got sober. 2020, got top surgery. This one, last time you heard from us, we didn't know which direction it went. So, spoiler, it went Trump.
I don't know if y'all heard about this. Breaking news from Run the Julias.
So I was trying to, I spent the last month thinking about what kind of things I might want to do in response. And I think my goal is to shoot my pilot next summer and fall. And I will be shooting.
And then hijack the plane, and then where are you taking it?
Yeah, I'll keep it within, genetically that is kind of our thing.
Kind of right up your alley on Forge.
9/11. I also will be 3D mapping every environment that we shoot the scenes in, and then bringing that into the digital space. So I'm hoping that is a big enough of a project and goal to keep me doing something in my lane during these
you
times.
gotta have little projects and goals, and for some people it's having like a massive train set in the basement. For some people, they put like just so much work into their lawn, just like they put more work into their lawn than like you or I have put into like anything. And I think for you, your lawn, your train set is the pilot of Gay Basher.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm having fun with it. Having fun with it, for sure. I had so many weddings I had to go to in November, which was so cursed because they were all straight weddings in Trump's America. I was just like, this is violent.
Yeah. When I'm president, I'm going to outlaw straight marriage.
Thank you.
A man and a woman can still get married, but they can't be straight. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. I think that's really important.
Thank you. When I'm president...
They can be straight if they're trans, Like, if it's if it's like
T
trans
for T.
and if it's T for T straight, which is rarer and rarer, that you'll find just as
you're not seeing T for T straight these days.
just a straight up straight straight, straight up, straight transgender.
up. Yeah, absolutely.
It's hard to find. It's harder and harder to find.
I'm
not looking
to
for
think
them.
about. Chilling to think about. But in the 2028 election cycle, I will be old enough to be elected president. So
And
I can
I will
start
be voting.
building policy platforms now.
I will be writing you in.
I'm outlawing straight marriage. I'm outlawing bi girls bringing their boyfriends to Pride. Outlawed.
Thank you.
Done. Gone.
Thank you.
Let's see. I'm turning off Times Square. It's off. It can still be there, but I'm unplugging it.
I love that.
Thank you. Let's see. When I'm the president in 2028, what else? What else? What?
What are you gonna do with water?
Water. More of it. More water.
What kind of water?
Oh, so much fucking water from all directions, falling from the sky, rising from the sea. I have the same plan as I have the same plan as Team Aqua from the Pokemon Sapphire video game. Where I just fucking hate the land and its people so much that I want water and water Pokemon to take over the world.
Waterworld.
Waterworld.
The film Waterworld.
Under a Kevin Lanigan presidency, Waterworld.
Are you dropping the TVs? Does the TVs get replaced with president?
Yeah, it's got it. You know, I think it's just too clunky otherwise. You know what I mean? I think Prez Kevin Lanigan. I think PREZ Prez. I think could be a good move for me.
Prez Kevin Lanigan. Yeah, that works for me.
I want everyone listening to this to ask themselves honestly, am I any worse than all the guys we've gotten recently? You know,
No.
It couldn't be worse if it were me.
It wouldn't be worse. I don't think you would make all 4 years without, as the internet says, unaliving.
I'm getting. What did you say?
As the internet says, unaliving. I don't think you would get through 4 years without unaliving.
Myself,
and by that I mean,
yeah, because of the
and by that I mean
amount of
killing yourself.
Yeah, because of the incredible amount of like blood on my hands by like the very nature of assuming the office of president,
and just the brief that you get handed day one and all the shit that's in there.
Yeah, you're like, huh, this is all the stuff we've done, okay, and I'm
and
just
are
like,
doing,
I'm tied it up.
And here are all the things that we have to keep doing, or we'll get fucked otherwise. Like you just get handed kind of a shit storm, and you're like, either way, it's fucked. The trolley car is just killing people in any direction that you put the trolley.
Yeah, for sure. It's fun to be the operator of the trolley problem, and all you have is one lever and like an infinite number of trolleys spinning off in all directions that are just mowing over people in every conceivable direction. With just one pull of existence. Yeah, that's gonna be good. But as president, I promise to leave the president's book of secrets in a place where like an enterprising treasure hunter can find it.
That was always my bit growing up, was like people when they would be like, tell your uncle this or tell your uncle that or whatever. I would be like, really, the only thing I want to do is ask about that book of secrets.
Tell me about Grampy, tell me about your book of secrets. Come on.
I wanna see it. And I was pretty sure there were aliens in it, but I wanted to know.
Do you remember how the second National Treasure movie, which is subtitled Book of Secrets, ends with like Nicolas Cage saying, "You want to know who shot JFK?"
I don't remember that.
Okay, actually, I'm getting it confused with the Nicolas Cage movie The Rock, where he finds a secret microfilm. Sean Connery leaves him secret microfilm.
Does he play The Rock?
No,
Dwayne?
The Rock is a code for the island of Alcatraz.
It's not Nicolas Cage playing the biopic of Dwayne The Rock Johnson?
No, but now that you've introduced that idea into my life and into my mind, I'll never be able to shake it until I see it.
Exactly.
I kind of demand to be able to see that movie.
I'm kind of like a living, walking intrusive thought, I think, in people's lives. I think I think I'm like a living, breathing intrusive thought.
You're just like whispering from the doorway and be like, Nicolas Cage playing The Rock in a movie. Like you fade away.
Like the bit has been that I'm like a supporting character or a minor role for a really long time. But now it feels more true that I'm more just like a living, breathing intrusive thought.
Yeah, I think now would be a good time for you to pivot to like being not me from the Family Circus series of comic strips or something like that, like kind of just like a metaphysical concept. In Trump's America, we're all pivoting to being metaphysical concepts. In
We're going
Trump's America,
spiritual.
yeah, we're going spiritual. Like Kat is fully pivoting to like that whisper at the back of your mind of like,
That's
what
me.
if you stuck your hand in the garbage disposal?
I think I'm not, because people do keep track of like things that I say in their notes. Like multiple friends of different eras of my life.
There's a lot of audio editing also available of you and your many thoughts and your many ideas.
Yeah, a lot of people have like notes in their notes apps of things that I've said, and that's just very intrusive thought behavior. Like,
Yeah.
and I like to think like when I was getting over a situationship earlier in the year, because that's a story for another time. Come to my stand up if I ever eventually do it. I was listening to Silver Springs a lot because I was like, I was going to like recovery meetings and I was
The
saying, like,
Fleetwood Mac song, Silver Springs?
Yeah.
Okay,
was
great. I
going
mean,
to-
one of the most beautiful songs ever written.
Yes, and I was going to recovery meetings and stuff and being like, guys, I'm being so honest right now. I just want them to be obsessed with me and to haunt them forever. Like, I just want to be an intrusive, like, they can like go be happy or whatever. I don't have to
real,
be the best thing.
like, I'm happy for you, but I'll follow you down till the sound of my voice will haunt you. You know,
Yeah.
like,
Like,
but
I want
to
you
be
to,
for
like-
real, yeah.
Like, cannot get me out of your brain. I want to be like fucking like tinnitus. I want to be the tinnitus of people.
Low key, for real, time casts a spell on you, but you won't forget me, you know?
You won't, yeah. The sound of the woman who loved you vibes.
Yeah, absolutely, without question. You can be my Silver Spring. But yeah, anytime, listener, you hear a voice on the wind, you know, you pick up a bar of soap and that little voice that says, take a bite. That's Kat Scott.
That's me.
That's Kat Scott.
That's me. Yeah. Yeah. There are a lot of podcasters now actually talking about their OCD. I don't personally have OCD, so this is not something that I should continue to make light of. But
Sure.
in Trump's America, I'm giving myself a little bit of leash to be a little bit cancelable. I'm
Cancelable.
I'm saying things like I'm feeling manic, even though I've never been diagnosed
Sure.
with bipolar. I'm not quite saying the R word. That's not for me. I'm not
Excellent.
interested
Love
in
that. Love
Yeah.
that.
But I am.
Lines are
recent-
important. Boundaries are important.
Recently, I learned, but I have been binge listening to like female comedians who love to use the R word, which is so random, and it's not the word random. It's a different R word.
Is it? Be honest with me. Is it the Hawk Tua podcast? Is it Talk Tua?
No.
You're not listening to Talk Tua.
That feels like it would need to be a visual medium for me, because like the only reason I would watch that is because like that's an attractive person.
That's
You
an
know, like,
attractive person.
I don't
who
think I would listen to their thoughts.
Who sounds like a southern gnome. Like, if you've ever heard her
I haven't.
speak, she's always like, oh yeah, I was making a little stew of marigolds.
I love that.
I was living in my toadstool. Hoo-hee.
Yeah, but recently I was told that you're gonna hate this. I can't even believe, but now it's too late because I'm already talking. You're kind of
And
one of the last people.
Be cut out. Cannot be cut out.
You're kind of one of the last people I want to talk about with this. But I have friends that have decided to stop saying crazy or insane, and
I support this decision, frankly.
Okay.
I legitimately, I think it's something that we're going to look back on poorly, and I've tried to take it out of my vocabulary, and sometimes I slip up.
Yeah, I mean, we had a whole pod that was crazy ex-girlfriend, so...
You know, that's not... You know, that was the name of the show.
I'm surprised you're actually more woke than I am here. I think and I think you're right. And now I regret bringing it up. But
Dangerous, toxic, radioactive levels of woke coming off of me on all times.
As someone who was popping all of my prescription pills right before pod and was like, we were naming them, I think I get to, much like I get to call myself a faggot, I think I also get to identify as crazy or insane. Because sometimes I simply am. And I can work on not calling other people that, but I'm gonna keep this one for me.
You know what? You deserve a little treat. You could keep, in exchange for hello sharks. In exchange for not saying the R word, I am going to keep saying crazy and insane.
And I'm going to try to do it just for me. But no promises yet. But I'm working on it, and I'm going to regret that this is a soundbite in the future, and I know that.
Yeah,
but,
this is recorded on the audio record, and I want you to know that.
So, thanks, y'all, for holding space for the lyrics of Defying Gravity. Hey, Wicked came out.
And this is, of course, Run the Julias, the only podcast brave enough to cover every single cinematic work of America's sweetheart, Julia Roberts. I am one of your hosts, TV's Kevin Lanigan, and I recently got bitten on the leg by a dolphin.
Did you? I'm Kat Scott, they, them pronouns famously, and I recently thought about my dad in relation to this movie, because my dad just got remarried, and at the beginning, the first third of this movie, I would say it was a very similar relationship to my dad and my mom. And I don't see their love story quite going the way that this film went.
Sure. Yeah, seems unlikely at this time. Not impossible, I suppose. Life is long. Anything's possible in Trump's America. But, yeah, it seems unlikely.
I do have some
for a
good
ticket to
sound
paradise
bites.
to happen to you.
Yeah, I do have some good sound bites from the Thanksgiving that I just had. So
I can't wait.
I didn't want to. You and I spent a Thanksgiving together once in New York, and that was so much better.
It was lovely.
Than
Played Pokemon.
than any other Thanksgiving I've ever had.
Watched Little Shop.
Because my mom famously left my dad on Thanksgiving of 2018. So 2019, we kept it cozy, and that was great. I'm so happy we did. This year, a lot of my friends were doing like a queer Thanksgiving in Los Angeles. I was hijacked to go to my dad's.
Likely thing to happen.
I was going to my dad's wedding. He nor my sibling, no one connected the dots but I, that my mom left my dad Thanksgiving, and then my dad got remarried Thanksgiving.
Nothing to read into, nothing to see here. Move along, move along.
So all of my stepmom's extended family invited themselves down. It was supposed to be like her 2 kids and then me and my sibling. That's all that was supposed to be at the wedding, on the beach at dawn. Then at dawn, then she invites her entire extended family. So that becomes like the last thing that dad has to stand on, is like, this wedding is going to happen at dawn. And it's the dawn after Thanksgiving. So it's like
where
all day
Black Friday deals are springing forth. A new day brings sweet savings.
Can you imagine a worse morning? Like, it's like the time you've eaten the most amount of food all year.
Yeah.
And then you don't digest it because you wake up at dawn.
Yeah.
To go and then take photos at dawn.
You know, it's a classic, like, a red sun rises, blood has been spilled this night type situation. Yeah.
It was so strange. And then there were a few random, like, community members that heard about this wedding and so showed up at the front door, because we had to be at the front door at 6:15 a.m. to walk to the beach, and where the priest would meet us. There was like the priest and us. We had these little lanterns. The beach wasn't a far walk, but and then some random community members, because my dad, like, you know, he has one of those names, so I feel like it became a little bit of a talk of attention. So it felt a little like a vigil, or like when the townsfolks, like, with lanterns and pitchforks go to like fight a monster, but we were like walking to the beach, and then afterwards I jumped in the sea in all my clothes because it was so warm. So that was good.
Florida.
It was weird, as expected, and now I have an extended step family from Minnesota.
Wow, we could all be so lucky as to have an extended step family from Minnesota, as opposed to in this film where someone gets an extended step family from
Bali.
Bali?
I feel like there were a lot of opportunities to make like baller puns that they just didn't.
Just passed up. They took the high road. You know what I mean? Ticket to Paradise isn't going to stoop for cheap laughs, or cheap wordplay like that. They're really elevating themselves so far past, like passe jokes like that it ends up having no jokes at all. I think almost zero jokes in this film.
Just the bits between the two of them. There was no other.
Yeah, and those are really more about energy as opposed to like punchlines. It's really just like those two have a nice, chemistry together.
That's true. Yeah, I didn't really notice that there were no jokes. I just kind of noticed that it was following the arc of actually more of a Christmas rom-com without the Christmas. It was kind of the exact, because I had just watched Lindsay Lohan's new one the night before, and I was like, yeah, this is kind of like exactly the that.
Yeah, it's definitely structured like one of those, but like has more of a budget, has movie stars at the front of it. No offense to Lindsay Lohan, of course, but never was on the same level as a George or a Julia. And yeah, so it has a bigger budget, but it's one of those movies where like you'll see the setup for the joke. You'll be like, okay, they got really drunk last night. They woke up in bed together. They have to hide from her fiance while wearing each other's clothes. Like, okay, classic comedic conceit. You would potentially see something like this, in rom-coms of many different eras, and in like, classic 30s, 40s rom-com era, there'd be a lot of slamming doors and people hiding and switching, all kinds of positions and really nice wordplay. Or in the 50s, it would be so colorful and energetic, or in the, the 90s, even the 2000s, it would, you'd get a lot of like ribald back and forth. There'd be a lot of like fun innuendos, and in Ticket to Paradise, there's nothing. George Clooney has to put on Julia Roberts yoga pants, and instead of it being like, oh, those are too tight, whatever, they just look like comfortable regular pants, because no one in this movie could be uncomfortable for 30 seconds. Julia Roberts, despite the fact that this movie takes place in, humid island territory, her hair is in like perfect place the entire movie. Isn't it just like the most obvious, okay, we have to do something where like her hair gets too frizzy, like in these cheap for grandma, kind of movies like this? No, because Julia Roberts has to have like perfect hair at all times, even after she like wakes up spending time in the jungle overnight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was like it was kind of giving Eat, Pray, Love in terms of like one of those like white woman tries a different culture and think the culture is really beautiful. Like it kind of had the lens of like, look at this beautiful, beautiful culture that is very, very different and simple and different and big families, and everything is just love and joy, and there's no nuance. It's just love and interesting and simple, and the simple island
there's
life.
No struggle. Yes, it has that sort of noble savage view of,
right.
of like, oh, they're simple, uncomplicated. It's what Eat, Pray,
Love
life.
did with India. Yeah, it's just
India, a subcontinent that famously has like no interpersonal conflicts, no rigid social caste that still exists to this day, or anything like that.
Yeah, and then I was confused. Were you confused at the beginning? If was it Caitlin Denver? Is that
Caitlin Dever?
Sorry.
Who I'm a big fan of hers. Have 12. Been back since Short Term 12. Incredible performance in Short Term 12.
Yeah,
great on like Justified and all these other shows. I'm a big fan of her. Really liked her in Booksmart. Showing like a dimension of her I hadn't really like seen before.
So I think it was carrying over Booksmart when it opens with their fucking gals being pals montage.
Literally her and Billy Lord from Booksmart. Like literally.
I just thought they were like
main cast members.
Are they dating and they just won't make them kiss? Like they just like That whole sequence was so weird. And then it was just weird with Billy the whole time. I was like, that is my typecast in this movie is that.
Of
but they do
course.
nothing with her at all. She's
I
just
kept
around.
forgetting she was in the movie. And
She's
then,
just
like,
around to point out plot points. That's
Yeah.
literally all she did.
she's there to do a really truncated, much less charming version of exactly what she does in Booksmart. That's like
Yeah.
the whole conceit. And I gotta say, it doesn't really work despite Billy Lord's best efforts. You know what I mean? It's
well,
just like
this was
literally
also
the same thing.
I feel like this was also kind of during the era that her mom had died. So I think
It would, I mean, we were like 3 or so years beyond not to,
from
act
filming.
lightly of anybody's parents die. I mean, yeah, Carrie Fisher dies in like 2018. This movie
I
comes
feel
out
like
in 2022.
2020. Oh, 22. I thought it came out in 2021.
No,
But yeah.
it was 22. I saw this movie in theaters using
Yeah, you
AMC
did.
Stubs A-list.
It brought you back. It brought
'cause
us
I was-
all back.
I was
it brought
hyped
our
for
butts
it.
and
I was
seats.
Ticket to Paradise pilled. I wanted to see George and Julia. I just wish they had, like, I'm not even going to say done a better movie, just done like a movie. Like, something that like wasn't just kind of like a glorified vacation with your friend. More power to
Yeah,
you if
like,
you can
what
get a
if
studio
Mamma
to
Mia-
spend so much money. Right.
What if Mamma Mia wasn't about ABBA and didn't have music and
Right.
was just one of the three men? What if it out of Sam, Bill, and Harry, you picked one
Yeah.
and there's no music
And nothing really happens of much consequence. And yeah,
but
I mean,
we'll treat the Bali people and the Greek people pretty much the same. In
pretty
both.
similarly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine if they had treated the Bali people the way that the Greek people are treated in My Big Fat Greek Wedding, where they are swine, where they are animals. They are the urukai rampaging through polite society.
Beautiful work. I don't know anybody on the creative team of Ticket to Paradise. It's something that I may never remember again.
Yeah, this is
as
a
a
real
film.
in and out, in one ear, out the other, as far as the contents of Ticket to Paradise.
I think they were like, I think the vibe change was when they started doing some seaweed together.
Yes.
And that was sort of the turning point. I think they had this horrible feud, and then they started doing some seaweed together.
Mm-hmm.
Just pulling around at it. We didn't even really see a lot of it. It
No.
just was happening under the surface of the water was some seaweed stuff, and they were being silly. And that's when we saw Julia and George being Julia and George, and then suddenly they were kind of okay.
Yeah, when they're playing beer pong, it's like suddenly the movie comes alive a little bit. Like, oh, here's George and Julia being like funny, charismatic movie stars. You know what I
And
mean?
then it never gets better. It
Never
that
gets
is-
better than that. It stays right there, and also the beer pong scene goes on for like 5 full minutes. It's like interminable how long they make it last. They use every take. They use all the footage that they shot, because you just couldn't leave a frame of that stuff on the floor.
Yeah.
Honestly, the highlight for me, bloopers in the end credits. You know what I mean? I
was gonna
enjoyed those.
say,
I
yeah.
liked those bloopers quite a bit. You don't see a lot of bloopers in the end credits these days. You know, I can't remember if they put bloopers at the end of the end credits of The Lost City, that like adventure rom-com with Channing Tatum and Sandra Bullock that came out a few years ago, around the same time as this movie, I think. I enjoyed that
Never saw
movie quite a bit. I thought it was very fun. But it seems like the kind of movie that would have bloopers at the end, but maybe I'm confusing it with this movie.
I can visualize like the poster of that movie, but I also, for some reason, keep asserting Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in it.
No, he's not there. Daniel Radcliffe is who you're thinking of. Very easy to confuse them.
Yeah. And Nicolas Cage. I get those three confused.
Those three, again, in like if I was just looking at them, I wouldn't know which one to hire because they are identical.
Because
They go out
Dwayne
for all the same auditions.
Dwayne is in things called like the center of the Earth's journey.
Journey to the
and,
Center
like,
of the Earth, Jumanji,
and
Welcome to the Jungle.
Jungle. Yeah, so you can
Spends
see
a
where,
lot of time in the jungle. Yeah,
yeah, you
undoubtedly.
can see where yeah.
One of his first big movies, The Rundown, from the 2000s. He's in the jungle. He spends a lot of time tromping through the jungle. Absolutely.
My mom
One of our
sat
great
next to
jungle
him.
actors. Go ahead.
Yeah, my mom sat next to him at the Republican National Convention in the early
Wow.
2000s. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Honestly, like the least surprising thing I've ever heard. Him being he's of course in the wrestling business, which means he's probably a conservative Republican, unfortunately.
You're wearing a wrestling hoodie right now.
I am at this time, so I'm complicit.
It's so gay, though.
It's the gay, yeah. It's a bunch of repressed homosexuals battling it out, and there are, of course, progressive good people at all levels of professional wrestling. But
Yeah, I feel like you watch the more queer ones. The more.
yeah, those are always
Yeah.
my faves. Where I'm like, I feel like you vote good, and also you're being kind of gay with it, and that's what I love.
Yeah.
This is the game I love.
So that was Ticket to Paradise.
Yeah, any concluding thoughts on Ticket to Paradise?
I'm racking my brain. I have
Just
like, more
anything
interesting bits.
that occurred. I will. Okay, so like, just to give this movie at all like any kind of due diligence or something like that is like, this is one of those movies that is just like asking me to buy the like a 25-year-old on a post-college vacation who meets a handsome boy and wants to get married immediately, like asks me to think that person is in the right. And I just can't do it. Maybe it's because I'm 32 years old. I will be presidential age by the time the next election rolls around. But I'm completely with the parents here. What an insane thing to do.
Yeah, and I was actually surprised about how willing and supportive they were to even go to the wedding.
Right? Just hop a quick flight to Bali.
Yeah. Like, I guess if they're like, well, we're wealthy enough. I was grateful to see that George Clooney had a rom-com job, and so did Julia at the top. Like, I was grateful that,
Yeah,
like,
architect and art curator. Classic rom-com jobs. Absolutely.
I was grateful for that because I met some rom-com jobs over Thanksgiving, and I was
that's
just
beautiful.
like, they are real.
My conspiracy theory is that architects aren't real. They only exist in romantic comedies.
Yeah, exactly. I met one, but it was in a rom-com setting. I met one at a
Exactly.
birthday who was like brand new to dating this person. And he was like, "It's weird that I live in Los Angeles and I'm an architect." And I was like, "I just don't know if you are real, actually."
That
'Cause
architect's name? Frank Gehry.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, Georgia Cotton, insane name.
Yes. I read in the first draft her name was Southern Belle.
No.
Georgia Cotton is I made that up for humor. But that joke
Oh.
is her name is Georgia Cotton, and that's crazy. I didn't even clock it because that would require me to like be paying attention to the movie Ticket to Paradise, which I think is frankly impossible to do.
I was not. I was doing different things around the home throughout the whole
Yeah,
thing.
exactly. I think like Ticket to Paradise could be used as like transcendental meditation, you know, like the thing you're not paying attention to so hard that you like transcend your physical form. I think it would be very good use for that.
Yeah, the only two things I had to say to you about this was I'm 40 minutes in and it just seems like there's no way these two could fall back in love.
There's no way, dude.
And then Georgia Cotton is a crazy name.
It was. And despite the fact that I did not respond to that text message, it's a crazy name and you're right to acknowledge it. Now, Kat, would you like to discuss what we're really here to talk about tonight?
Yeah. I don't even know if I have words, but I have so many feelings at least.
And that is, I think, the proper way to talk about the 2024 film Wicked, directed by John M. Chu, starring Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo. In this film, Witches. So this film has come out. I have seen it. Kat, I assume you have seen it.
Yeah, I've seen it twice.
Twice now.
Mm-hmm.
Did you think it was part 2 and that's why you went in the second time? You're like, great, second part, here we go.
No, I think this movie requires at least 2 viewings, and if you can,
careful
in theaters.
Studying of the text, yes.
Yeah, I think there's the first wash and just like the absolute emotional journey that is going through it once, and then there's the like being prepared as much as you can be, knowing what's to come and how it goes, like knowing the assembly cut of what is included in the movie, and then experiencing the emotions that way. I think you need it once, and then there's of course the in-between time where you listen to the cast recordings and you make decisions in your head about the choices that were made and what riffs are different from the original Broadway recording. And then for me, Wicked has become entirely parasocial. So in between, I would say from starting from like the day leading up to seeing Wicked, I did my parasocial due diligence and I listened to the Ariana Grande Last Culture Recess episode.
Ron's been splinched.
Because I knew that Ron's been splinched.
Been splinched.
Yeah, so I listened to that because I knew that Bowen and Ari were connected. And then my For You page, like 2 or 3 days before that, had already started kind of getting wind that I was binging Wicked. And so that's when we started seeing the crazy press tour. And so I was like, what's going on with this press tour? And I started to get a sense like this is going to be really good. And
this is when you were holding space,
holding space for the lyrics.
I've seen
of Defying
it,
Gravity. Yeah, I am in queer media.
I'm in queer media, so I don't know if it, it's a lot, but I've seen it, I
didn't know people were doing that. Yeah, I didn't know that was happening. And then the nail holding the finger. So I kind of, my media literacy was really kind of like doing the work during that period of time leading up to Wicked.
Yeah.
What's my relationship to Wicked? Because this isn't a movie where it's like, what was your relationship? Ticket to Paradise was not that. Wicked is that. My relationship is Wicked was deeply meaningful for me as a kid, obviously, as a theater kid. That was like the formative time coming up as a millennial theater kid. Wicked was it. And it has also this entire time been a super locked tight IP. So there are no shitty high school productions of Wicked. There are no like community theater productions of Wicked.
Really? The 20 years? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's just been the Broadway tour. So this is like the first time our fiending fan base has had anything outside of the very specific, like these girls, they cannot riff outside of what's written. Usually on their last night as Alphaba, they'll get to like make a little choice, or as Glinda, they'll like get to make a little choice. So that's kind of what differentiates each witch for when they like Shoshana Bean and like anybody who's played that. There are these like they have to authorize like between the creative team, and then all of the like costumes, choreo, everything has been like really locked since it first came out. And so there's just so much Wicked lore. My sibling grew up having a hyperfixation on The Wizard of Oz, so Wicked was already on our radar as it was coming out. Even they were like so young, like they were like in first grade when Wicked came out on Broadway, but this was still something that was like on our radar, knew about the books. And then it is the highest grossing like theatrical production. There's some sort of like record break in St. Louis of Wicked ticket sales during the holidays. Like,
wow.
Yeah.
In St. Louis, it's a riverfront record.
Yeah, because we did the first workshop or something. Like St. Louis was like, we being St. Louis we're early on the wave of Wicked somehow. Alex knows more than me as usual, but yeah, so lots there with Wicked, like the audition songs growing up, every like little like cabaret or like little like theater kid review, there was always like a Glinda and an Alphaba. For the theater girlies specifically, it was a huge thing. So yeah, but I just kind of stayed away from everything throughout the year, just being like, I can't be disappointed by this. And then I got the sense through the press tour and the interviews, I was like, this is actually, I'm pretty confident. I don't want to get my hopes too high, but I'm pretty confident this is about to be a fucking banger. And then it was like burst. And I don't cry a lot in movies. I don't cry a lot in general with testosterone. It was like burst. And I don't know what it was that packed that punch, but it was like and I was a little bit late from getting like, parking was shit and whatever. So
you gotta get your popcorn. You gotta get your hot dog.
That first like song, just walking in and sitting, and the first song, immediately start crying, and then every song following start crying, except for obviously Something Bad Happening in Oz and Sentimental Man. Those I will never cry, but everything else, cried every single song the first watch. And I was with a bunch of comedians. It was Leanne, who was on podcasts with us. It was her birthday, and a month ahead of Wicked, she was like, everybody get AMC tickets and let's like get like 3-4 rows to see it for my birthday, on my birthday, because she was a super fan. So it was just like, it was like an interactive rowdy crowd, which is exactly what I needed for Wicked. So we could respond to every single like riff choice, every single like everything that was like identifiable in Wicked. As theater kids, we could like respond to it, which was so nice. The last time I had that experience was Cats, and Cats was garbage but fun to watch as a community. Wicked was perfect, and it also was something where I walked out and I'm like, I actually have no sense of if that was good or not, because I had such a communal experience. So then seeing it again was me watching it being like, okay, I know where all the beats happen, and I know what my like what I do and don't like about it. And still cried like just as much the second watch.
Wow.
That's Wicked for me.
That's Wicked for you.
Fiyero being bisexual, huge.
Huge. That's the handsome boy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. I have a very... Thank you for sharing all that. I have a very different history with Wicked, which is to say very little at all. I was a theater kid in the late 2000s, early 2010s, so Wicked was, of course, inescapable in a lot of ways, but it was really just, like, those 4 songs, you know? So, like, yeah. I had heard in the drama room or at choir concerts when people were, you know, selecting solo work or things like that, like, I had heard Popular. I had heard Defying Gravity. I, like, was familiar with all this stuff. I didn't really know what Wicked was, like, about. I had never, certainly had never seen the stage show. I'd never watched a slime tutorial. I was largely in the dark on a lot of things. But again, aside from 4 or 5 songs, one of which is not in this film, Wicked Part 1, and will, I assume, be in Wicked Part 2. If you want to hear that song in advance of Wicked Part 2, just find any high school graduation between now and then, and you are likely to hear the song for good. I saw this movie with some friends and some strangers, got a nice meal beforehand, locked in with a not insignificant amount of edible marijuana, and really sat down in the Cobble Hill Cinema in beautiful Cobble Hill, New York City. And, you know, I have some pretty significant problems with certain elements of this movie.
Let me just interrupt real quick and say that I'm gonna pee, but I'm listening to you, and I hear you, and I'm holding space.
And I'm holding space for your PS.
Okay, so I don't know if there's a way to mute this part, but you're gonna hear me.
I'm for sure.
I'm not gonna flush.
I'll figure out what to do in post. You know, honestly, flush. You know, that's the easiest part to take out.
Cool. Okay, go off, King. I want to hear your thoughts.
Through life. Thank you so much. So again, I was not really familiar with like what the story of this was. I knew they were like friends or whatever. This was my first exposure to like Wicked, the actual material. And I think my determination is that Wicked, the source material, kind of sucks. I think there are some really good songs that are obviously set up to play to very talented musical theater performances. Some undeniable bangers: Defying Gravity, The Wizard and I, Popular Loathing. These are undisputed jukebox bangers, musical theater classics for a reason. I think the story is stupid and what happens is stupid. And on top of that, and I was a fan of John M. Chu's In the Heights. I thought that was like a good movie, a good adaptation of that material, in my humble opinion. There were some choices in adapting Wicked that I think just straight up don't work, and at times they maybe want to barf. I think Jeff Goldblum is catastrophic in the film in a lot of ways that I can elaborate on when Kat sits back down with what appears to be a cup full of piss. You walked back from the bathroom. Oh, it's a candle? Is that a candle? Okay,
Yeah,
great. Okay,
candle.
I'm glad. It looked like a cup. And I was like, wow, came back from the bathroom with a cup. Didn't know you were getting, an examination done. I think Goldblum is catastrophic in a number of ways. I think, Jeff Goldblum is at this time in his career where he's not interested in doing anything that isn't the Jeff Goldblum thing, and it doesn't work in every piece. And him entering the movie as the Wizard, as the most sinister, evil-seeming motherfucker of all time, is just like makes our heroes seem like the dumbest people alive for going along with what this guy is up to. Because again, he comes in like the most sinister, creepy man in the world. Also, I recognized his singing voice in the first 5 minutes of the movie, so I think I know some spoilers for where Wicked Part 2 is going. That's not really his fault. He can't really control that, but it's something that I noticed and reacted to all the same. I also think staging Defying Gravity in the way that they did, where like Cynthia Erivo is giving like an A+ performance, sounds unbelievable. Just like the essence of like what beautiful like Broadway ballad singing can do. And between like every stanza, they do like a PS3 version of the Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire scene where the dragon is chasing him around the roof. Between like every stanza, and it looks fucking awful. It looks abhorrent. I'm like, I can't believe this is the choice you made. I cannot believe that this was judged to be okay to be put on screen. I couldn't fathom it, while at the same time being like so moved by what Cynthia Erivo was doing.
Exactly.
It's
yeah.
unbelievable. It's what a strange dichotomy. There are two wolves inside of me.
Exactly.
Like, fighting. It's crazy.
I had the same experience where I was so overcome by the performance of Cynthia, while simultaneously like feeling a little bit of like rage simmering about how it was like being executed by the movie.
Yes.
But it heightened my anxiety of how it was going to build the end, which then had more payoff in terms of performance. I'll also say, did you know that a lot of that was live vocals?
I did not. But makes sense. That's a choice every
crazy.
musical has to make. And I respect it when they do it right. And Cynthia Erivo is a performer who is capable of like taking that to stratospheric heights. I mean, she really is like one of the most talented people around.
She's defying gravity.
She's defying gravity. I became acquainted with her. She's very good in the movie Bad Times at the El Royale.
I've seen
I really
I
liked
saw
her
on
in that.
plane.
I really like that movie. I think that movie's good as hell.
Yeah.
And I think she's very
Dakota,
good as like
right?
the lead. Dakota Johnson, I think she's great in the movie. Bridges, John Hamm. You got a lot of friends that show up to play in Bad Times at the El Royale. So she's tremendous. This movie has so many problems, but like Cynthia Erivo as an actor and as a singer is holding it down, and as an equal partner, Ariana Grande, who I am just like so agnostic on, both as a performer and as a cultural figure. She has songs I like. She has songs I can't stand. I have no thoughts on who she's dating or her love of race swapping. But this is it's a towering performance by Ariana Grande. I mean, just tremendous. I was taken with every moment, every choice that she was making. She obviously nails the songs. Like, the two leads are so good that it's overcoming a lot of dreck on the way there. Do you know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah, it is funny talking to my sibling Alex, about a lot of it, and like just the behind the scenes and the making it. And Alex is like, the director just keeps saying in interviews, and like it might actually get in the way of him winning different Oscars for it because of what he keeps disclosing, which is just that he's like, yeah, I don't know, it just like came together. Like I didn't know until I walked on set what was gonna. Yeah, it's such an undertaking, and I just let them get away. And I'm like, yeah, we can tell. We can tell.
Actually.
We can tell.
There are signs. There are signs. Because I'm like, some people really like the lighting wash. I didn't.
And I don't. And I think it was a lazy wash that they used. And I agree. What completely took me out of the moment Defying Gravity was me battling of having a super emotional experience to the song itself, and then getting frustrated by each turn of what they did with the action and how they split it up and how it was building, and then the Quidditch moment. But I hated and other people loved it, but I hated the inner child's fall interruption. It was like right before like the big last. She's falling, and then she sees her like inner child in the reflection. It was so frustrating.
Can we just like not spell everything out? Can we like let the audience like draw their own parallels without having to say like, this is what it is, and just like shove like they just don't trust us at all.
And I will say, like, yeah, I get it. It's a kids movie. I forget that this is for families.
For babies. Yeah, movies for babies. Absolutely.
But it's also dark. It's also dark. And the other thing that took me out were the animals. I can't with our current animation style of animals. I can't do it. The Lion King, like the Lion King style animation style of animals.
Like the live action, quote unquote, Lion King. Like Mufasa from director Barry Jenkins coming to us later this year, yeah.
Live action in what world? Because it's all CGI, but yeah,
I know, but that's what
action.
They keep calling it. That's what Disney calls it, even though it's entirely 100% CGI. I agree that, like, straight up, the animal racism subplot doesn't work. I think it's like it's corny and ham-fisted in a way that I don't think supports like either character's main story. Like, I don't think it really draws like a good parallel between like people making fun of Elphaba being green versus like giving goats tray-panning goats, like lobotomizing, bears so they can't talk anymore. Like, I don't think that's like a good one-to-one comparison. And the movie is probably 10% better if they're like 2D animated drawings.
Yeah, I think if they did a fucking Who Framed Roger Rabbit moment, that is what movies can do that stage play cannot. So why not? Because I didn't really love it in the stage play either, the way that the animals look, but this was worse.
Yeah, I guess I gotta see what they
this
look
was worse.
like.
Do you know what happens in Act 2? Because there's a lot of like payoff and like things that like weird choices in terms of like characters or like reactions that are because of what happens in Act 2.
Okay.
You know.
So I'm sorry. To finish off the goat on stage appears to be just sort of like a man with some goat prosthetics on his face.
Yes.
Okay, but in the theater of the mind, he's an actual goat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, got
Which
it.
I didn't realize. I didn't
not
realize
seen
as a
that.
child.
I don't like it very much at all, but fine. It's
I
on
didn't
stage.
realize as a child I was confused because I was like,
Yeah.
he's becoming more goat-like, but then he never like becomes full goat. Like, so it was
Yeah.
confusing in the movie where I'm like, oh, is it just the voice thing? Is it less like becoming? I didn't understand that they were supposed to be like full animal. I never understood that, and that's why Something Bad was always a skip. It was kind of like, oh, he's Hagrid, but like there was just like parallels where I'm like, he lives in that.
Hagrid.
Yeah.
He's Hagrid. Yes. Okay. So, I'll mark it here, listeners. Potential spoilers for Wicked Act 2 as I like puzzle this out with Kat.
I don't know. I don't think it's spoilers if it's a fucking musical. I don't think it's spoilers.
If it's a 20-year-old musical, I'm giving people the out if they don't want to know. If they
Sure.
like me don't know and it's important to them, I
Sure.
want to give them the out. But
You have a whole year to not get spoiled. Good
right,
luck.
exactly.
But yeah,
But
tap out if you want.
Don't give a shit. So, let's see. Okay, so here's what I know. And I will tell you, here's what I know and how I learned it. The wizard is Elphaba's dad. And
Yeah.
I knew that, or I'm sorry, Elphaba's biological father, because I recognized Jeff Goldblum's singing voice.
And I don't think it's supposed to be, it's not supposed to be that surprising because there's all these weird like illusions throughout it of like,
Okay.
I've always wanted a blah, 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 blah.
Sure. Yeah, she talks about dad, all that
It's
kind of stuff
surprising
a lot.
for a child. It's a plot twist
Yes, right,
for
yes.
not an adult. Yeah.
Fair enough. I also learned because of a ship tag, tagging, somebody's favorite ship, that the handsome guy and SpongeBob become the Scarecrow and the Tin Man.
Correct. So that's why
the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
So it's
That's
because
the
it was a book.
dumbest
It's
thing.
because it was a book that
The Gregory
and then
Maguire original text.
it's because it was a book that they translated into this plot, but like
Well, it was
basically
stupid when Greg wrote it too. It's dumb. It's dumb for that to have happened, and for it to not come up in the original Wizard of Oz is crazy. Like, hey, I used to go to high school with her.
yeah, the love triangle
Stupid.
goes crazy, and they just like they have little references to it in the movie. So like the little like handkerchief that he gets from Glinda and he puts in his like chest pocket, that's like where the
Where his
heart goes.
would go, yeah.
And then
Yeah.
they keep making references to Fiero's like intelligence. Like at one point Alphaba's like stuff it, and then like there's a line in Dancing Through Life that's life is aimless when you're brainless. Like there's like little like
Right. And the whole song
references.
Dancing Through Life is about being stupid as hell. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah,
I'm
and
just
then
here
this
I'm just here to
movie-
dance.
This movie I think did a little bit better of also giving an homage to the original movie. Like there's some of the choreography that like mimics the Scarecrow, which I liked. I liked that they like brought in both worlds a bit. But yeah, it was always like kind of a weird origin story, fill in the blank type plot for me, but I prefer this far more than Dear Evan Hansen and many other musicals of our time. Like
Sure,
I will take
if that's
this.
if that's the measuring stick. But like, having now seen a lot of both, like Wicked's no Hades Town, and I'll say it with my full chest,
That's fine. I also was kind of like undersold with Hades Town because I knew the music before I knew the
Sure.
actual plot, and I am taken out of Hades Town during the climax, like the thing that, which is usually when movies lose me
where
too.
they're like
it's
escaping.
Yeah, I think it's like I don't get it. So the music is what keeps me in, like the high notes and the vocal performance and the
Sure.
emotions that's behind like the don't turn around moment. But
Yeah,
I don't
mean, like,
personally.
we're going back to like trying to dissect Greek myths. You know, this is the story of Orpheus
Yeah.
and Eurydice, and people have questioned Orpheus's decision making for centuries now. I think Hades Town, without necessarily like spelling it out, and the Reeve Carney performance that I saw on stage is like a good interpretation of it, of just like it's a moment of doubt. Like despite everything that they've been told, like he does have a moment of doubt to look back and see if she followed, even though like he's being a stupid idiot when he does this. But it's just like
I know that. It just doesn't.
It doesn't
I don't
work
know.
for you. I get it.
It doesn't work for
you.
me, and it's kind of the whole point of it.
Sure.
But
Have
I
I
love
told
everything
you-
else about it.
I think at the you know how Hades Town ends with that song of like,
The
you know, it's the
cups.
same old story you've heard before, but like,
Yeah.
maybe tomorrow will be different, you know? I think it'd be funny if when they close on Broadway, it's different at the end.
Yeah,
They get away.
yeah. I think that would be good.
I think that'd be good.
Yeah.
Just one time.
Which
Just do it
circles
one
back.
time.
Which circles back to like the meta world of Wicked, which is that like when there's all of these like feeder myths of each witch and kind of like each alphaba and like what she was able to do or not do, especially on their last performance. And one of them is like there's this like moment where Idina Menzel, Adele Dazeem, for if you don't know,
The wickedly talented Adele Dazeem.
the wickedly talented Adele Dazeem.
Wickedly talented.
She like broke something and had to end her run early from like
Ooh.
I think from the Defying Gravity stunt, and so she wore this like red tracksuit for her last, and I think she did all of Act 2 like in the red tracksuit. It was such a good payoff. Like I will just say that like this movie musical has been the only movie musical to take care of its audience in a really, really long time. Like, it is the closest translation I've ever seen from a stage performance to a movie that honored so many of the elements. Like, it was there was so much payoff that these little things that, like, I had issue with are just, like, for the sake of film critique, but, like, as a long time, it just like took care of its fans in a way that was so important, to a degree that so many people that I know like forgot they were Wicked fans until they were watching it, and then they were like, oh my god, like it just like hit people how important this stuff was, and brought them back to it. And like so many people I know that were just like, wow, like this, I remember this as kids, but I hadn't thought about it at all until now. And I was moved by all these like wow. So I was really, really grateful that like they did that for us. I had a thought about it.
It's okay. I did really like when Kristen and Idina pop up. I thought
that's what I was gonna say. That's what I was getting to.
That was very fun. I pointed at the screen like Leonardo DiCaprio.
I didn't know it was coming.
I didn't
It was
either.
much like that
I had
Spider-Man
heard
movie
that there was
where they
a cameo, but obviously I didn't know like exactly when they would pop up.
No, I didn't know at all, and it was such a huge payoff. That was what I was trying to build to, was like that moment was when they were when they were like, we made this for the Wicked fans, and it was just such a jaw drop moment. And it wasn't just like placing them, but like giving them a whole song.
Yeah.
And then Ariana is an incredible comedic actor, and I'm so happy for her because she's been through a fucking lot. And yeah, she was messy as fuck, changing her race all the time. I get why people don't want to get past that. That's weird. That's weird as fuck. But she's also been through crazy, like these are separate things. That does not excuse her behavior.
Of course.
Separately, as a person, she has been through crazy shit, and to
she
see
went
her
through
like
the fucking Nickelodeon gauntlet, nightmare, the Dan Schneider situation. It's a lot.
her ex-boyfriend overdose, died, there was bombings at one of her shows. Like,
Oh, I didn't know
she's been
that.
through all kinds of things, and has put out music constantly for 10 years this whole time. But she was always a Broadway girly. When she was in 13 the musical, before she was in Victorious, and she's always loved musical theater. She's always had this like gift for impressions, and she's just fucking slaying. Like, she's gonna be an SNL host callback forever, I think. And she's huge comedic talent, and I think like she's ready to like start doing Broadway again, and I think we're gonna be so grateful that she, like, in her 30s is going to like kind of hopefully lock in to. She just put out this great album that had a lot of critical success. I don't really care about Ariana Grande music that much. There's one or two songs that are bangers for me, but
Yeah, I don't really like it very much. I like that song "Dangerous Woman." Thought that was a
that
good
one.
song.
Yeah,
I like that
and
song.
Thank You Next is cute, but
That's like a cute song. Yeah.
yeah, but don't. As a performer, she didn't really do it. Her pop music didn't really do it for me.
No.
I'm thrilled that because she's always been a theater kid, and for her to have like such a home run success with this,
Yeah.
it's just huge. Like, I think, yeah, I'm excited for her to return to Broadway. I don't know what the project will be, because I know Wicked was such a big deal for her. I don't know what project they're gonna like give her in response as a thank you for that. But yeah, I can't really imagine what she would do next. Maybe it'll be an original. I know that Cynthia wants to do an original. I think she wants to do a new development work next.
That would be great. I mean, Broadway needs like strong new works in a major way.
Yeah, so that would be cool. I hope it's good.
Yeah, I hope it's good. I think
They had so much chemistry. Like, I loved how gay
Yeah.
it was. They really leaned into "What Is This Feeling?" The Loathing song. They
Yes.
really, and I love that the directing didn't try to pretend like it wasn't a super fucking gay song. And then same with Dancing Through Life. They made it really bisexual. I was just like, thank you for doing that, because
you know he's just dancing through life. He doesn't care.
the director is allegedly straight with 6 kids.
Yeah, I mean, that's John Chu, director of Step Up to the Streets. In the Heights, Crazy
Straight
Rich
man.
Asians. Yeah, straight man. That's what he says. Who am I to disagree? But that's crazy. I think, this is not the most important thing in the world, but it can be a lot for someone's career. I would honestly be surprised if we got out of both of these movies without one of those two winning an acting Oscar. Do you know what I mean? I would be pretty surprised.
I hope for their sake. I hope Cynthia wins Best Actress, and I hope Ariana's nominated for supporting. I don't want them both to be leads, because it is ultimately Alphaba's story.
Ariana has been running in supporting, and I think I would argue that it is a co-leads kind of situation, but in a classic Oscar category thing, you pick one for lead and one for supporting. And they are right to choose Ariana for supporting if they must.
I agree, because that character is a supporting. It's just like such a rock star performance.
Absolutely.
It's really bringing the dumb blonde back in a big way. That dumb
and
blonde.
thank God for that.
I love a good dumb blonde. As someone who that was my
used to
archetype
be
for a long
your bread
time,
and butter. Absolutely.
seeing a comedic performance like this for dumb blonde. I hated her eyebrows during this whole era. I didn't think the blonde look was her look, but Huey, what are you doing? My blind cat is trying to get up to stuff again. Hopefully he doesn't sign me out. I should also hop off soon, but
That's okay. Wow. Cynthia Erivo has a Grammy, an Emmy, and a Tony.
she's about to EGOT, baby.
Yeah, she has received EGOT nominations. She has been nominated for an Oscar before, but has never won, and I think she's probably going to walk away with it.
What
At
movie
one-
was she nominated for an Oscar for?
Probably Harriet, the Harriet Tubman movie,
forgot
where
about
she
that.
also wrote a song. That's the Harriet Tubman movie where they invented a love interest for Harriet Tubman. I'm not touching that. That's not really for me.
That's funny.
But that's for somebody. And I know it's based on a book, but the book also invented that love interest. Anyway, my concluding thoughts on Wicked is that Ticket to Paradise just blatantly lifts a line from the movie Before Sunset, and they thought I wouldn't notice. They thought they could sneak that one by me, and they were wrong.
What was it?
When George Clooney is giving that honestly very good monologue performance to Billy Lord in the bar, when he's describing the dissolution of his marriage to...
I was worried they were going to flirt. I'm
to
so
Georgia
glad they
Peach.
didn't.
I'm really glad that didn't happen. When she is talking about his divorce to Mason Dixon or whatever Julia's name is, he
Georgia
says
Cotton.
that it started to feel like he was running a daycare center with someone he used to date. And that was the way that he described his marriage. And that is essentially verbatim from Before Sunset. And they thought I wouldn't notice. They
Or it
thought
was
they
an
could just
homage.
take that one. Given the quality of this script, I think it's plagiarism. I think the one good line that they came up with is just from a much better, much shorter movie.
So if you want to watch George and Julia when you've already watched the other George and Julia's,
When you've
I would
already
put
seen
this one
Oceans, when you've already
in
seen
Charlie
Ocean's
Wilson's.
12, and Charlie
Yeah.
Wilson. George is not in Charlie Wilson.
That's true. I just inserted him there.
He could have. You know what I mean? It could have been him.
I inserted him as Tom Hanks. And not.
It's okay. We forgive you. George forgives you. Tom forgives you.
In the same universe.
Cocaine Charlie forgives you.
Yeah, they're in the
Hold
same.
on, there's a knock at my door. Oh, I say, ho! I say, who did you say played me in that film? I got Scott. It's your old friend, Charlie Wilson.
Hey, we missed you so much.
I missed you terribly. Have you gotten my letters?
No.
What? Has someone been screening your mail? I am under watch by the FBI, so they might have been intercepting my letters to you. I'm under investigation by the FBI. Don't ask where I was in front of a Hilton and what I might have done with a United Healthcare CEO.
Oh, we didn't talk about that, but what a moment. Till
What a
next
moment that Charlie Wilson has an alibi for.
Stop it. Huey's trying to end my Skype call, so I do got it. Stop it. Stop.
That's a sign
Don't-
from Podcast
Stop.
God. If Charlie
All right.
Wilson and a cat are here. All right, well, Cat, thanks for joining me once again on Charlie Wilson's podcast.
Thank
Talk to
you.
you soon for the My Best Friend's Wedding episode. We end the year with that, lest we forget. Here I go again. It's going to be great. And I'm going to co-host it with you. And it's going to be wonderful. Goodbye. Wow, what a beautiful soul is Cat Scott. You'll never know what they're gonna say, but their insights, their wisdom, it fills my heart with such joy, and it rattles my mind as well. They really stoke the flames of insight and criticism inside me, and they've been through a lot in their little life. Not so long as Senator Charlie Wilson, of course, but they've been through a lot in their little life, and I think they deserve the whole world. If you're asking Senator Charlie Wilson, if you're asking Charlie Wilson personally, I think Cat Scott deserves the world, and that's a beautiful thing. And again, if you're asking where I was in relation to the shooting of the United Healthcare CEO, I was not there. I was at the Times Square Margaritaville, enjoying their breakfast menu. They close at 10, so you gotta get in there, first thing when they're open. So sad to think about the passing of Jimmy Buffett. It's only been a couple of years, but sometimes I wake up in a cold sweat and I'm thinking about my fellow parrot heads and what they must have been going through, and it saddens my heart. As a senator of the United States and representing whatever state I'm from, and talking about the war from Charlie Wilson's war, of course, I speak of, and
all the hardships we went in along the way, and it's so easy to harden your heart in a world that's as cruel as this, in a world that's as hard to anticipate and can be so outwardly negative as this. It's so easy to harden your heart and turn inward, and only concerned with yourself and maybe your immediate family or something like that. But the way I see it, we's all workers on Spaceship Earth, and this spaceship only runs if we's all working on it. If your lot might not be Captain, you might not be a Picard, you might not be a Cisco, Janeway, am I forgetting it? Oh, Koik, of course, you might not be a Captain Koik, but whether you're in the engine room or you're a battle master or a diplomat or a navigator on the bridge or I think on Next Generation there was like a psychologist or if you're the bartender like Whoopi Goldberg's character. The spaceship only... what was the point I was getting at? The spaceship only runs if we're all working on it together, hand in hand, getting paid by Starfleet, based out of San Francisco, which I always thought it was funny that in the Star Trek universe, the center of humanity was based out of San Francisco, California, of all places. Not, of course, a beautiful city, a major metropolis in our day and age, very expensive place to live, but not necessarily what I would call, the epicenter of planet Earth, but that's the difference between our universe and the Star Trek universe, and if things go that way, perhaps, San Francisco will become the center of all things. It reminds me of my favorite video game franchise, the Mass Effect games, which were manufactured by BioWare, which are based out of Canada. When you in the beginning of Mass Effect 3, you're essentially getting court-martialed, and your court-martial at the seat of humanity is in Montreal, Canada. And I always found that a little strange, a little peculiar, a little queer even, to use it in the old sense. Montreal, very straight town as those things go. And I always found that strange. And then the Reapers come down and they destroy Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And it's many great people. And you see a little boy. You find a little boy at an air event. And you're like, come out, little boy. I can help you. I can save you from the Reapers, from the aliens. And, he doesn't really want your help. He's scared. And he runs away. And you see him get blown up by the aliens. And it galvanizes your character. Commander Shepard, first name to be determined by the player. The default is John. And I didn't realize that I could change it before I committed to the character. So my character's name was John. Wish's name could have been Charlie. But it's not. And galvanizes your character throughout Mass Effect 3. A flawed, but I think ultimately successful game that in ways fails academically of the mind, but succeeds in many ways of the heart. Those two things, they can balance each other out. Something can be deficient of the mind, but rich in the heart, or vice versa. You can read a heady piece of science fiction that posits so many interesting ways that the future could behold and different directions technology could take us in, but is weak in the heart department. And both of those things are valid, and different strokes for different folks, to paraphrase my favorite TV show, Webster. Anyway, this is Senator Charlie Wilson from all of us here at the Run the Julius podcast. Signing off, and we'll see you later this year for My Best Friend's Wedding, which is the title of the film. I know you might be confused. You thinking Charlie Wilson's best friend is getting married, but no, my best friend. I got married a long time ago. My best friend is my wife, which is the goal I hope every married couple strives to. She is my light when I wake up in the morning, and she is my moon setting at night. She is my sun and stars, and I love nothing more than her, and she is my best friend. And how privileged I am, how privileged that I get to spend some time with her every single day of my Charlie Wilson's mortal life. I don't know what I did to deserve something like that. Some folks, they ain't as lucky as Charlie Wilson, and they never find real love like that. They never find their soulmate, their bosom companion, and that makes me sad. That makes me want to shoot another healthcare CEO. Oh, I gotta go.
Lies, lies, you're telling me that you'll be true. Lies, lies, that's all I ever hear from you. Tears, tears, I shed a million tears for you. Tears, tears, and now you're loving someone new. Someday I'm gonna be happy, but I don't know when just now. Lies, lies, you're breaking my heart.
Tastes like you, but sweeter.
Please tell your friends about this show.
That was quite a show. Very entertaining. I want to live!
This has been a Talkback Podcast.